Circulation in architecture, how movement shapes space. When we think of architecture, we often picture facades, roofs, towers, or monuments. Yet what truly defines our experience is not just what we see standing still, but how we move. Circulation, the way we approach, enter, wander, ascend, descend, is like the invisible thread weaving space into narrative. It turns static walls into a living story. Today, I invite you to join me on a personal journey, a walk through 100 moments where architecture speaks through our movement. I stand at a distance. The building looms ahead, and the path is straight, pulling me forward. This is the frontal approach, clear, decisive, almost militarily direct. Halfway there, I take a turn. The path is oblique now. The building stretches diagonally, the facade shifting in perspective, each step adding drama. I circle the building slowly. The spiral approach teases me. The entrance appears, disappears, reappears. Anticipation grows. At the threshold, I pause. The entrance is recessed, shaded, pulling a pocket of the outside world inward. Crossing the line, I feel the moment of transition. Outside becomes inside. Public becomes private. Architecture has choreographed my step. The first hall is narrow. The corridor urges me forward, the proportions whispering, "Keep moving." The space suddenly widens. Light pours in from above. The corridor becomes generous, inviting me to pause and look around. Two corridors intersect. I hesitate, left or right. The space itself asks me to decide, marking this node as a place of choice. I choose the brighter path. A skylight draws me, making circulation not just a route, but an attraction. The floor changes underfoot, from stone to wood. My steps soften, my pace changes. Circulation has texture. A side passage appears, leading into a small alcove. The path passes by a space, leaving its integrity intact. Then the main path cuts through a gallery. Circulation becomes performance. Art on the walls demands my attention as I walk. A doorway frames my view. Passing through, I feel how an opening is more than a hole. It is a promise of what lies beyond. I arrive at a staircase, straight run, monumental, rising like a challenge. My body tenses, ready to climb. Each step echoes. The stairway is not silent. It has a voice that amplifies movement. At the landing, I pause. Landings are gifts, a chance to rest, to reorient, to look back at where I came from. I continue upward on an L-shaped stair. The turn shifts my perspective, reintroducing me to the building. Now a spiral stair curls before me. The motion is intimate and closing. Circulation becomes embrace. At the top, I emerge into a colonnade. Columns open one side to a garden, half inside, half outside. The breeze greets me. Circulation is no longer just walls and floors. It is the air itself. A radial path spreads out from a central hall. I stand at the hub, each spoke a possibility. I take the spiral ramp of a museum, imagining the Guggenheim. Art and architecture orbit me. I become part of their gravity. Later, I wander through a grid. Streets at right angles like Manhattan, predictable, secure, logical. Then into a network. Winding alleys twist like veins. Surprise lurks at every turn. The path ends in a courtyard. I rest here, circulation transformed into destination. Another time, the path leads into a grand hall. Scale alone tells me this space matters. I brush against a flush doorway, so subtle it nearly disappears into the wall. Contrast that with a projecting portico, bold, confident, arms wide open. I enter under a decorated archway. Ornamentation announces that this crossing is ceremonial. Inside again, the flooring shifts to carpet. My steps hush, circulation becomes quiet, intimate. A window cuts light into the corridor. Light itself becomes a companion, guiding my pace. I descend a narrow stair into shadow. Downward motion feels secret, almost forbidden. Another stair cascades outward like a theater stage. People linger on steps, turning circulation into social life. Outside, a piazza waits. Narrow alleys funnel me, then burst open into a square. The drama is urban. I recall the Acropolis. The approach zigzags uphill, revealing temples piece by piece, never all at once. At a temple, I pass through gate after gate. Repetition makes ritual. Every threshold deepens my journey. A cloister frames silence. My steps slow. Circulation here is contemplative. An airport concourse bustles, movement becomes logistics, but architecture still frames anticipation and farewell. I walk a balcony open on one side. The void beside me is thrilling, circulation laced with risk. Then a tunnel, enclosed fully. I feel safe but compressed, hurrying forward. The ceiling lowers. Subtle compression makes me more alert, aware of my own body. The ceiling rises. Relief floods me. Scale alone manipulates emotion. I pass under a colonnade. Repetition of columns becomes rhythm, like beats in music. On a bridge, circulation floats above landscape. Height adds drama to motion. Descending steps into a garden, I feel drawn into earth, grounded. Ascending again, I feel lifted, elevated, transcendent. A ramp leads me slowly upward, accessible, inclusive. Circulation here says everyone belongs. A hidden stair tucked in shadow feels private, exclusive, secretive. A grand boulevard lined with trees directs me toward a monument. Urban circulation aligns with ceremony. I pause at a small threshold, almost domestic. Even the humblest doorway carries meaning. A recessed doorway ahead glows faintly. I step in, and the depth of the wall wraps me gently, softening the passage. In contrast, another door juts outward, projecting like a stage. The act of entering becomes performance. A flight of shallow, wide steps leads upward like an invitation. People sit on the steps, blurring the line between furniture and circulation. I enter a vaulted hall. The arched ceiling stretches above, elongating the experience of walking forward. At the crossing of two grand corridors, I pause. Here is the true node, a point of decision, a crossroad of lives. A path along the edge of a room lets me glance sideways into other spaces. Circulation here is observer's perch. Then a diagonal cut slices boldly across a chamber. Walking through feels daring, transgressive. I find myself in a spiral ramp, slowly circling upward. The continuity is mesmerizing. No sharp break, only flow. In a medieval cloister, my steps echo softly under arcades. Time itself seems slower here. Emerging into a garden, the path becomes gravel crunching beneath my shoes. Sound, too, is part of circulation. A shaded pergola guides me. Light filters through slats above, dappling my walk with rhythm. A narrow alley squeezes me, walls pressing in. Movement becomes urgency. The alley suddenly releases into a bright square. The contrast makes arrival dramatic. I step into a cathedral nave. The long linear axis pulls me forward toward the altar. Side aisles let me wander parallel, giving choice without breaking orientation. Crossing the transept, my direction shifts. The cruciform plan becomes palpable through circulation itself. I ascend narrow stone steps spiraling within a tower wall. The climb is labor, yet anticipation of the view drives me on. At the top, the city spreads before me. Circulation has become revelation. Descending, the spiral disorients me. I lose track of direction, only to rediscover the ground with relief. A corridor lined with windows frames glimpses of landscape. Movement becomes cinematic, scene after scene unfolding. A ramp descends gently to a subterranean level. Light wells punctuate the way, keeping me oriented. Here underground, the ceiling is low, the air cooler. Circulation adjusts my senses. I find a stair rising back into daylight. The moment of resurfacing feels like rebirth. An arcade along a plaza lets me walk in shade while still watching public life outside. I step into a library. Stairs and ramps intertwine, weaving readers between shelves. Knowledge has its own choreography. A modern airport terminal spreads with concourses like spokes. The scale of circulation mirrors the scale of movement in our time. An escalator carries me upward automatically, yet even mechanical movement changes perception of space. I pause at a mezzanine overlooking the hall. Vertical circulation reveals relationships between levels. A glass bridge connects two wings. The floor beneath my feet feels transparent, thrilling. Crossing at height, I sense vulnerability. Architecture makes even fear part of the experience. Descending a grand staircase in an opera house, I feel like an actor, watched by others ascending. The steps broaden, encouraging lingering. People chat, pause, pose. Circulation doubles as social stage. Outside, a boulevard stretches straight toward a triumphal arch. Monumentality is written in alignment. I turn into a side street. Scale drops, intimacy returns. Circulation adjusts mood instantly. I pass through a series of gates in a palace garden. Each threshold layers anticipation. A winding garden path leads nowhere in particular. The journey itself is the destination. Crossing a wooden bridge over a stream, I notice how sound and smell enter circulation. Stone steps climb a hillside. The effort reminds me that circulation is physical as well as spatial. At the hilltop pavilion, the view rewards me. Circulation ends in revelation once again. I wander into a network of market stalls. The paths are chaotic, but life pulses here. A covered bazaar pulls me through darkness, punctuated by light shafts. Mystery becomes allure. A small doorway forces me to stoop. Architecture humbles me physically. Then a tall archway makes me lift my head. Space commands respect. In a house, a staircase tucked by the wall leads to private quarters. Circulation encodes hierarchy. A broad entry stair outside a civic building declares democracy. Everyone climbs together. On a narrow footbridge, only one person passes at a time. Movement becomes negotiation. I cross a vast hall, empty except for light streaming in. Circulation here is about atmosphere, not destination. Through another threshold, I find myself outside again. The path reverses, inside to outside. Looking back, I see the journey behind me. Every corridor, stair, and threshold becomes memory. And finally, I realize, circulation itself was the story. The building's form mattered less than the way it choreographed my steps. Architecture is not frozen. It breathes when we move. Circulation is the invisible thread that connects one moment to the next, one space to another, one emotion to the next sensation. It is the way a corridor urges haste, a stair commands effort, a threshold signals change, a plaza surprises with openness. From temples to airports, from alleys to boulevards, circulation guides us, shapes us, and makes architecture alive. So the next time you walk through a building or a city, pay attention. The path beneath your feet is not accidental. It is a design, a choreography, a narrative written for your body to read. Architecture is not just walls and roofs, it is your journey, and circulation is the story that every step tells.